people from the 4,000-year-old Indus Valley civilization led a busy life. The administrators were engrossed with the development and construction of special structures. Traders were occupied with trading cloth and objects made from clay, gold, silver, precious stones, and beads, and craftsmen were busy pursuing their passion of creating art. Cities had several scribes who wrote using the pictographic Harappan script. They would pitch in to help the craftspersons prepare seals engraved with script and figures of different animals. Till date, archaeologists have found at least 2,000 such seals. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to decipher the entire Harappan script. Craftsmen worked either at home or in special workshops. Most of them were specialists trained to do only one kind of work, like cutting stone, polishing beads, or carving seals. Traders traveled great distances to obtain gold, copper, and other material. These were used to create a variety of ornaments. Archaeologists believe that gold and silver ornaments were worn by the rich, whereas bronze and copper ornaments were worn by the poor. Apart from metals, ornaments were also made from shells and animal bones. Besides metals, different types of stones were also used for making tools and ornaments. For instance, chert, a type of sedimentary rock, was used to make weights of different sizes. Carnelian for making beads, and some stones to prepare blades. At Lothal, archaeologists have come across pieces of stone, half-made beads, tools for bead making, and finished beads in a workshop. This indicates that it was an important center of arts and craft. They used faience, an artificially produced substance, to make vessels. These were then glazed to give them a glossy, shiny finish. The glaze was usually blue or sea green in color. They also prepared terracotta toys inspired by real life, and pottery using the potter's wheel, and painted it in red and black. Harappan society also had cotton weavers. Archaeologists have stumbled upon terracotta and faience spindle whorls used for spinning thread. The threads were woven into different clothes such as shawls and a garment resembling the modern dhoti for the men and a kind of shirt for the women. Thus, people living in Harappan cities engaged themselves in a multitude of tasks. one of the oldest cities in the Indian subcontinent, Harappa was developed 4,700 years ago. It was lost for centuries before being discovered in the 1920s. Since then, many cities similar to Harappa, like Mohenjo-daro in what is now Pakistan, Lothal and Dholavira in Gujarat, and Kalibangan in Rajasthan have been discovered. As the structures of these cities greatly resemble those found in Harappa, they are called Harappan cities. All these cities are located around the Indus Valley, and in each, a set of uniquely identical objects were discovered. Hence, it's concluded that these cities represent a civilization that existed thousands of years ago, called the Indus Valley Civilization. Harappan cities were well planned and reflected the advanced town planning knowledge of the people. Walls of baked bricks divided the city into a citadel and a lower town. The citadel lay to the west and was higher, but smaller than the lower town located to the east. The citadel, built on a mud brick platform, consisted of important buildings like granaries, public buildings, religious buildings, and assembly halls. The lower town was divided into rectangular sections by wide roads that cut each other at right angles. Common people built their houses on either side of the roads using material like brick, gypsum, and mortar. The houses were 1 or 2 stories high and had several rooms like the kitchen and bathroom built around a courtyard. The rooms were airy as they had several windows and doors. Some even had wells. Harappan cities also boasted of a strong drainage system. Every house had a drain connected to the street drains, forming a complex drainage system. The drains were laid in straight lines, had gentle slopes, were covered with stone slabs, and had inspection holes at regular intervals, making it possible to clean them. Although most Harappan cities were divided into a citadel and a lower town, the city of Dholavira, divided into 3 parts, a citadel, a middle town, and a lower town, was an exception to this rule. Each of these cities had gateways for entry and unique structures like the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. It was surrounded by rooms on all sides. The bath itself was a large rectangular tank with stairways on its northern and southern ends. Its brick walls were coated with plaster and layered with natural tar to make them watertight. Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and Lothal also had elaborate storehouses known as granaries, which were used for storing grains. In Kalibangan and Lothal, we find fire altars, which may have been used for performing sacrifices. At Lothal, archaeologists have also discovered a huge water tank, which may have been used as a dockyard. Ships and boats entered through the sea and a river channel and loaded and unloaded their goods here. Thus, the Indus Valley Civilization boasts of the first cities of our subcontinent. Transforming metals and precious stones into objects of exquisite beauty was one of the hallmarks of the Harappan artisans. While some material was available locally, the other was obtained from places far and wide. For instance, they brought copper from present-day Rajasthan and Oman in West Asia, tin from present-day Afghanistan and Iran, gold from Karnataka, and precious stones from Gujarat, Iran, and Afghanistan. People living in cities obtained food from the countryside, where farmers cultivated wheat, barley, pulses, peas, rice, sesame, linseed, and mustard. The farming activities revolved around the Indus River, and the farmers planted their crops after the Indus flood receded in June. They used wooden plows to dig the earth, turn the soil, and sow seeds. To overcome the problem of average rainfall, they stored rainwater and later used it to irrigate the fields. Apart from farming, people living in the countryside also reared animals. Although fodder was readily available during the rainy season, summers were tough as people had to walk for miles together in search of fodder and water. The Harappans had their own special technique of checking whether goods reached their destination intact. They would pack the goods, seal them using wet clay, and then send them to their destinations. On arrival, if the seal was intact, the goods were assumed to be safe, else it was assumed that the goods had been tampered with. Goods were transported either by land using animal carts or water using ships. Thus, we see that the Harappans were quite advanced as far as trade and development of raw material and food was concerned. Well-planned cities, advanced drainage systems, a thriving economy, and a rich culture were some of the hallmarks of the Harappan cities. However, around 3,900 years ago, these cities started crumbling. People started abandoning them. The streets wore a deserted look. But what led to the collapse of these once mighty cities? Historians have many theories. Let's look at some of them. Many believe that the Indus River, which nurtured cities like Mohenjo-daro, might have also brought their end due to frequent flooding. It might have strained the economy or led to epidemics, killing thousands of people. All these might have lowered the people's morale to rebuild the city. As a result, they might have left the flood-damaged cities to fend for themselves. Some historians believe that the Harappans themselves are to be blamed for their decline because of the deforestation that they caused. They believe that the Harappans chopped off several trees to supply fuel to the numerous brick and metal workshops. Similarly, historians believe that large-scale grazing by domesticated animals might have destroyed the green cover. Deforestation may also have led to a change in the direction of flow of the Indus. The people living near the old river faced drought as there wasn't sufficient water to grow crops, and so abandoned those places. Deforestation might be one of the main causes for calamities like flooding and change in the direction of the Indus. According to some historians, since the Indus Valley Civilization covered a vast region, floods, deforestation, and drying up of rivers could not explain the end of an entire civilization. Historians believe that the rulers lost control over their regions, and this forced hordes of people to move to the eastern and southern parts of India, leading to the collapse of the civilization. 1,400 years later, new cities emerged in these very regions. However, the exact causes that led to the collapse of the Harappan cities are still unknown.